You know, what if I told you that one of the most incredible inventions of our time, something that literally saves lives and makes our whole world run, is also choking the planet? Well, that's the thing about plastic. It's a total paradox, a miracle and a menace all at once. And today, we're going to unpack that.
Okay, check out this number, 450. What is that? Well, it's a lifespan. It's roughly how many years a single plastic water bottle can stick around in our environment before it even starts to break down. I mean, think about that. Your great-great-great-grandchildren could be born, live their whole lives, and that bottle, it'll still be here.
You know, when we throw something away, we always wonder, where is away? Well, this is it. This is away. It's not some far-off abstract concept. It is the very real result of our throwaway culture, just piling up and overwhelming the world we live in. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the two sides of plastic, the miracle and the menace. Then we'll get into the huge scale of the pollution crisis. After that, we'll start exploring solutions, and we're going to do a deep dive into how recycling really works. And finally, we'll look at what our plastic future could be. All right, first up, let's tackle that central conflict. How did this material that totally revolutionized, well, everything, medicine, technology, you name it, become one of the biggest environmental threats we face? So here you have it, the two faces of plastic. On one hand, it's an absolute marvel of engineering. It's strong, it's light, it's super versatile, and it's cheap to make. But the flip side is pretty dark. That incredible durability, it means it basically never goes away. And it's made from fossil fuels, so its entire life, from the moment it's created to the moment it's tossed, is polluting. Okay, now let's zoom out a bit and look at how this paradox has exploded into a full-blown global crisis. This is so much bigger than just seeing litter on the side of the road. We're talking about a planet-wide system that is just completely overwhelmed by its own garbage.
This is a wild statistic. I mean, just look at this chart. Of all the plastic we have ever made as a species, only that tiny little purple slice, just 9%, has actually been recycled. That massive green section, 79%, is still out there, in landfills, in our oceans, just out there. We are literally drowning in this stuff.
So where does it all end up? Well, it pollutes our land, which messes with soil fertility. It ends up in our rivers and oceans, creating those giant garbage patches you hear about. And when we try to just burn it to get rid of it, it pumps toxic junk into the air we breathe. There's really no easy way out. And the cost to wildlife, it's just devastating. Animals see a piece of plastic and think it's food, which leads to starvation because their stomachs are full of junk. They get tangled up in our trash, which can lead to injuries or drowning. The consequences are direct, they're brutal, and way too often, they're fatal. And then you've got this invisible threat. As those bigger plastic items break down over time, they turn into microplastics. These tiny, tiny particles are everywhere, in our water, in our food, in the air, seriously. They've been found in tap water all over the world, which means, yeah, we're all consuming them. And right here, you can see the whole horrifying cycle. We make plastic, we use it, often just once, and we toss it. It gets into the environment, it breaks down into those little microplastics, and then it works its way right back up the food chain, eventually ending up right back on our plates. Okay, that was a lot of bad news. But it is not hopeless. So now let's pivot from the problem to the solutions. Let's talk about how we can shift from this take, make, and waste model to something that can actually last. Which brings us to maybe the most important question of all. What can we actually do? Well, there's no single magic wand we can wave, but there is a really powerful framework that can guide us. It all starts with this idea, the 5 R's. First, and most importantly, refuse what you don't need in the first place. Then, reduce what you do need. After that, reuse things as much as you possibly can. See, those first 3 are all about preventing waste before it even happens. Only then do we get to recycle. And finally, recover value from what's left. And notice that recycle is number 4 on the list, not number 1. Okay, so let's zoom in on that 4th R, recycle. For a long time, recycling has been, well, limited. But now, science is giving us a high-tech upgrade that could honestly be a game changer. It's called advanced chemical recycling.
So, have you ever wondered why some plastics, like the PET in water bottles, are way easier to recycle than others? It all comes down to their chemistry, which I found totally fascinating. PET is what's called a condensation polymer. You can think of it like Legos that are snapped together. You can take them apart again. Other plastics are addition polymers, and their bonds are way stronger, almost like they're super glued together.
So what this means is that for plastics like PET, we can essentially hit a chemical rewind button. We can take the finished product, that plastic bottle, and break it all the way back down to its pure original chemical building blocks. And one way we do this is with a process called acid hydrolysis. It sounds complicated, but here's the gist. You collect the used bottles, then you put them under a very specific recipe of high heat, high pressure, and a strong acid. That combo basically forces those chemical bonds to just break apart, releasing the original building blocks, or monomers. Then you can use those to make brand new, high-quality plastic.
And just to be clear, this isn't some science fiction idea from a lab. It's a real industrial process happening right now. As this chart shows, it needs very specific conditions: a strong acid, really high temperatures, and elevated pressure. This is real science offering a real pathway to a circular plastic economy.
So let's pull back out for our last section, our plastic future. The thing is, the path forward isn't set in stone. It's going to be a direct result of the choices we all start making right now.
If we don't do anything, the future looks pretty grim. And that's not me being dramatic. That's a real projection from the World Economic Forum. By 2050, there could be more plastic in the oceans than fish by weight. Just let that sink in for a second. More plastic than fish. That's the future we're heading towards, unless we decide to choose a different path.
But we can change. We absolutely can. The solution requires us to act on every single level. It's our individual choices, like really practicing those 5 R's. It's community action, like getting together for local cleanups. It's government policy, like banning single-use plastics. And it's industrial innovation, like the advanced recycling we just talked about. It all has to work together. So I'll just leave you with this last thought. Our own human ingenuity created the plastic age, for all its good and all its bad. The real challenge for us now, and maybe our greatest opportunity, is to decide what age we're going to create next.